Welcome to Scheduling in Vivace. This is a revision of the November 2022 webinar. This video is to assist you to become familiar with the NFMC Online Festival Management System, which is nicknamed Vivace. 5 tabs or pages in the scheduling module will be covered individually. Before we proceed to the scheduling program, please review a few items. Use Chrome as your browser while scheduling. Some issues have been reported with browsers other than Chrome. Safari works, but it does use military time. You must use a computer or laptop. Tablets and phones are not reliable while scheduling. The Area Admin Guide is available at the Support Center. You may view it online or you can print it. The guide covers all Vivace functions, which area admins should know. The scheduling information is outlined and detailed, and it also provides a great overview chart for yearly review of the scheduling process. Here's the overview chart found in the Area Admin Guide. You can see the scheduling order: approve, set up, pre-schedule, allocate, compile, and create schedules. As you become more familiar with the process, this overview chart can provide a quick refresher each year. Basic scheduling procedure: performances are assigned duration times. Rooms and time windows are set up with defined number of minutes. The scheduler adds performances to the time windows. The schedule is reviewed and small gaps are compressed to maximize the use of the room. And schedules and reports are generated. Theory registrations are not currently scheduled. You will not see the theory registrations in the pre-schedule or allocation tabs or in your compiled schedule. Instead, the theory registrations will appear on the Schedule tab in the Select Report list labeled Theory Event Register. Now, on to the scheduling. To begin the scheduling process, go to the festivals and to your current festival dashboard. Recently, you and your reviewers have been busy reviewing and approving registrations on the festival's dashboard. You must first have all registrations approved. Notice the screen says 14 of 15 registrations have been approved. If you have not approved all performances, then you will not have access to the scheduling module. Instead, you will see the message that there are still pending registrations. So go back and finish the approvals. Once all registrations have been approved, you will see the words Schedule Performances and the list icon next to it. Click on that list icon to enter the scheduling module. Here is the setup page. On the left, you can see the number of performances by event and class registered in your festival. You will need to provide a duration time for each of these events and classes the first year. Once assigned, these particular events will automatically carry over their assigned duration times to the next festival year. Your rooms will also be empty. Rooms and their time windows will need to be set up. You will need to do this each year. To change duration times, simply click on the pencil icon in the duration column and edit each duration time. Remember, these values will carry over to next year, so this won't take quite as long. Your duration table will also show the total time needed for each particular class in the festival. In subsequent years, if there's a new event or class, you will need to add the duration time for that particular new class. Here's the warning message saying that I forgot to assign the viola solo medium 1 now duration time. So assign a time and you're done. The duration table is sorted by the most to the least total time for each particular class. That way you can tell which classes still need assigned times. After all classes have been assigned a duration time, I like the durations to be grouped by events. This helps me determine how many event types are in the festival and if I will need to have specific rooms with specific judges, such as piano, string, or voice judges. This particular festival only has 91 registrations, and the duration table fits onto one page, which is manageable. I can clearly see there are only guitar and piano events, so one room must be guitar and the rest are piano rooms. But I still want to see them grouped by events and classes. So I can select and copy the entire table and paste it into a spreadsheet. Now I can sort the event column to figure out how many rooms I need for the various events. I have also added the total time for certain classes. Creating a spreadsheet is not required, especially for the smaller festivals, which schedules just one or two instruments or a voice event. But what do you do with a festival with 449 registrations and many, many events and classes? The duration list can go on and on and on. A spreadsheet might just help see the overall festival with specific duration times and specific rooms for the various events. Here is that lengthy duration list for the instrumental festival converted to a spreadsheet. The 449 performances have been sorted. Events with subtotals were created on the left. An overview summary for a clearer picture of this festival is also helpful. Below the green line, you can see the total registrations. Notice the 3 theory registrations highlighted in red in the upper right corner. Theory is not included on the duration table, since it is not scheduled. But I still wanted to include them on the spreadsheet for a complete picture of the festival. To view your theory registrations, return to your festival dashboard and view the total registrations. You can then use the search drop-down box to find all your theory registrations. And you see there are 3. Spreadsheets are not required. For the larger festivals, they may be quite useful. Chances are your schedulers may already be quite fluent with spreadsheets. Converting this particular duration table took about 20 minutes, including adding the summary, which was checked and then rechecked. The other festival mentioned earlier, with 91 guitar and piano performances, took less than 5 minutes. The spreadsheet helps to see the big picture from a different angle. Duration times are now at my fingertips as I proceed to schedule. Duration times are very important. Take note of these duration times. Schedulers will try to squeeze a performance into a window which does not have enough time, but the program will not accept that. You try to squeeze a 12-minute performance into a window with only 10 minutes remaining, you will encounter an error. If you accidentally overbook a time window, you will need to either go back and make the window slightly bigger or place the performance in a different time window with enough room to accommodate the performance. You probably already have a very good idea of how many rooms you need based on previous festivals. Your formula probably looks something like this. Figure out the total time required in minutes for your entire festival. Divide that by the total time available in each room. equals the total rooms needed. Same thing for Vivace. Add the duration times for the individual events to find total minutes needed for a festival. Determine how many minutes are available for judging in each room, and determine how many rooms you will need. Then proceed to set up your rooms. The directions for adding rooms are highlighted in light blue on the setup page. First, click Add a Room. Then select the pencil or edit icon to edit the room. A pop-up window will then appear where you can add or delete time windows and name the room. If you like a particular room setup, you can make a copy of the room, then rename it. On the Setup tab, add a room. On the right, click Add a Room and Edit. This screen pops up. First, name the room. Avoid punctuation marks like quotes or parentheses. Use your unique names so your searches later on will be helpful. You can always go back and edit the title of a room later. Here the room has been labeled Tango Room 12. Actually, it will end up being room 12, but the word tango will help me find that room in a search. You will also need to create time windows for that room. When you first create a new room, the time will be blank. Enter the start and end times by changing the dashes to a time and include AM or PM. The start time here has been changed to 9 a.m. By the way, if you see military time, you forgot to switch from Safari Chrome as your browser. Safari only allows military time. I still need to change the end time and then save. Continue adding more windows. Click on the blue plus sign. Here is the room again, with the end time entered and 2 additional windows added. Have you created too many windows? Simply click on the red trash can next to the unwanted window. Here's a different room, which has been saved. If you want to delete the entire room, click the Delete Room button in the upper right-hand corner. A room must be completely empty to be deleted. If you just created the room, it will be empty. But if you have compiled the schedule, there may be some allocations in that room. If you receive a message that you cannot delete because there are scheduled performances in the room, go back to both the pre-schedule and the allocation tabs. Be sure all performances have been removed. Save, and then try to delete the room again. Now you have one room set up and you want some other rooms to use the exact same time window configuration. Click on the copy icon and a copy of the room will appear. You will need to edit the new room's name, then save. Repeat for other rooms you would like to have the same schedule. Vivace is flexible to allow for either setting up your festival, which uses individual schedule times, or recital format. The procedure is the same. The number of windows is the main difference. On the left is a room set up for a small festival which assigns specific times for every student. There's one room for the guitar students and the other 3 rooms are piano rooms. On the right is a partial room set up for a festival which assigns students to 50-minute recitals. Recital format can have numerous time windows. Copying a room saves time in the setup. You can see that the red room here has been copied and renamed the blue room. The green room is also a copy of the red room. There are reports available for both scheduled, sometimes referred to as standard schedules, and also for the recital format. In the Area Admin Guide, it is suggested to also create a cancellation room. This is for cancellations prior to distribution of the final schedule to teachers. Why a cancellation room? Well, you still must schedule anybody who cancels. You cannot simply ignore them. The program requires all registrations, even cancellations, to be scheduled before the schedule can be compiled. Simply place your cancellations in the cancellation room. You now have a list of all cancellations without disrupting your schedule. There is no need to assign a time since they will not be performing. When entering ratings, they will receive a no rating or NR, and you will have an opportunity to write a short note why they canceled. In the same manner, you can also create a makeup room to include those students who will not or did not perform on festival day but do plan to perform a makeup. These rooms keep track of those special circumstances. Just a word of caution, moving cancellations after the final schedule has been distributed to teachers may disrupt your schedule, especially if you have allocations. Why not just delete the cancellations? Please do not. Use the cancellation room to track these registrations. You will then know who registered, who canceled, providing an accurate record of what happened that year. Well, what happens if you have more than one festival? If a student cancels the first festival, the rating is still NR. If that particular student wants to re-register for the second festival, then the area admin contacts the state admin to delete the first festival's registration. The same repertoire may be used since it was never performed. If you have questions or concerns about this topic, please talk to your state admin. Next tab is the Pre-Schedule tab. If you missed any steps in the Setup tab, you will receive a warning with instructions as to what needs to be fixed before continuing to the pre-schedules. The most common error is that the duration assignments are not completed. If you receive the duration warning, simply return to the Setup tab and finish assigning the last classes at the bottom of the page. Scheduling takes time. The more requests you have, the more time you will spend in the Pre-Schedule tab. Here are some of the numerous requests. Siblings, multiple performances for one student, accompanists who need to be in several different places, unavailable times, and other scheduling notes. This is the view of the Pre-Schedule tab. Notice that the two-step instructions are listed in the light blue boxes at the top. You will work to move unscheduled performances from the left to the schedule on the right side of your page into specific time windows. To schedule performances, click the box next to the name in the performer column to select the performance. Then go over to the right and click on the schedule icon in the desired time window. This will move the performance to that time window. Once in the time window, you may specify the time of the performance, although that is not required. The teacher requested between 9:15 and 9:45 for this particular student. I plan to schedule at 9:20 to accommodate the student. It also allows two other 10-minute performances to be scheduled before 9:20. Here you can see I've added 9:20 to the difficult 2 violin solo by typing in the window with the little clock. Notice the turquoise highlights. This simply means these are active cells and you have not yet saved the page. The turquoise is just an aid for you to quickly locate the students you are actively trying to schedule. The turquoise highlight disappears after you have saved. You may move any of the performances back to the left side, either before or after you save. To undo any of your performance schedules that have been scheduled in a time window, click on the arrow next to the student's name, and the performance will return to the left side in the Unscheduled column. Please note that you can adjust a pre-schedule on the Pre-schedule tab, Allocations on the Allocation tab, but you cannot adjust a pre-schedule while you are on the Allocation tab. At the top Pre-schedule tab, you can see 7 filters for sorting through your registrations. The default for this page shows all the registrations with scheduling issues. Don't be alarmed that the number of events you are seeing is smaller than the total number of your festival registrations. That simply means you are viewing only the registrations with scheduling requests or issues. Click the All Performances if you want to view 100% of your registered festival performances which need to be scheduled. And just as a reminder, theory is not included in that total. When you are scheduling, start with the most complicated scheduling requests. Develop a plan. I do mine on paper. Review the plan. And finally, enter the plan into the pre-schedule time windows. For example, there's a family, 3 performers, who have a total of 7 performances, but they also have 2 extra considerations. John has 1 piano event. Mary has 3 events. One of those happens to be a duet, so I have to consider what partner's requirements are as well. And Erica has 3 events, including a concerto, so I need to consider the needs of the accompanist. So there's actually 9 parts to this tricky scheduling request. Using paper and pencil, a plan is sketched. You can see Mary's 3 events at 10:05, 10:30, and 11:10. You'll see Erica has those same times in different rooms, of course, and John is at 11. Upon review, I realized I should also check the duet partner, Rexy, to see if she has any other scheduling requirements. I find and schedule Lexi's solo at 10:40, and that is after her 10:05 duet. I will also need to go back and, using the search box, look for the accompanist for Erica's concerto and see if there might be any additional scheduling issues to address right now. This is just one way to proceed to work with siblings with multiple events. You probably have dealt with much more complicated issues and know what works for your particular area. The next step would be to add this pencil plan into the pre-schedule rooms by moving the performances from the unscheduled left side to specific time windows on the right side. So, assigned times. How do they actually work? Entering a specific time does not guarantee that the performance will be exactly at that time. Instead, the performance will remain in that window around that general time. Why does this happen? Well, it is by design that Vivace will compress the schedule to eliminate small gaps. Be aware that every time you recompile, the students who do not have an assigned time in that window have the potential to be rearranged. If you have not distributed the schedule to teachers, there's no problem. They're just rearranged and it's okay. If you really want a particular student at a particular time, then you will need to assign some times. How to be sure your assigned times do not move? Well, you will need to follow your duration times from the Setup tab exactly. Do not allow any gaps in that window, so Vivace cannot compress the schedule. And every event must be assigned a time. If it does not matter if students are rearranged within a window, like in a recital format, you do not need to assign times. A time chart can be handy for those rooms which use the same duration events in one room. This is a quick reference to assigned times and helps prevent overbooking a room. Helpful hint, assign those really critical multi-performances at the beginning of a time window where they are the least likely to move. If you really want a performance at the end of a full window right before a break, it is suggested that all times are assigned to all performances in that particular time window. Always use caution to be sure the total times has not exceeded the time window. You may have noticed the search boxes. Search boxes appear in numerous places throughout Vivace. The search box over the performer will search for any matches in the schedule, information, and the performer columns. You can search by name, time, teacher, siblings, event name. I happened to search for AM, and I found 7 performances. But there were actually more. Computers don't know that when you type AM, it should also look for 10:30 or late morning or early morning. You know they're the same thing. The computer does not. If you type morning along with AM, your chances of finding more morning requests increases. Please note that any piece with morning in the title will also appear. The scheduling notes on the registrations are designed to be flexible. Decide what is most important for your area and schedulers and then train your teachers. If you want them to always use the AM for morning, tell them. If you want them to use morning, tell them. The search box in the Pre-Schedule tab allows you to search many ways, but first, the teachers must do their part and indicate scheduling requests on their registrations for your search to be effective. So please take time to train your teachers. Here's the right side of the Pre-Schedule page. Please note that you can now see all scheduling notes as well as the required piece. This is an update for 2024. Which makes the scheduling easier to review. So now your pre-schedules are all on the right side and scheduled. It is time to proof your pre-schedules before moving to the Allocation tab. Use search box on the right side to proof. Do several searches to be sure all of your scheduling requests have been met. Just a note, all the radio buttons on your left only sort the left unscheduled side. Here is a sibling search. Using the word sibling, I can see my siblings. Or you could also just type in the family name to view one family at a time. Then you will have a quick snapshot of the family and check and everyone is scheduled as requested. Here's another search by name. Max has 2 performances, which he has requested to perform the solos first, and then his concerto. Everything looks good. If you do need to move a performance to another time window, click on the arrow next to the event to move it back to the left side. Find a spot for the performance and reschedule on the right side. For a thorough proof, work on one proofing situation at a time. After allocating, it is wise to again quickly proof your list of time requests. Here are some suggested searches for proofing your pre-schedules. Siblings, student name, use a unique part of the name. Teacher name, in case the teacher is also requested to be a judge. Accompanist, are they expected to play in 2 rooms at the same time? Event names, make sure that they're scheduled in the correct rooms. Any instrument assigned all strings to the string room. You can search by any class or piece. Any word which appears in the performance box can be searched. Pre-schedule tab, guidelines, recap. Write or print copy of the duration time table. Keep it handy. Obey the total number of minutes in a time window. If you need 1 or 2 minutes more, consider extending the time window, or place a short performance in the window and just leave the window with a few unused minutes. Work slowly. Pre-schedules take time and brain power. Start with the most complicated scheduling request and make a mock schedule for those really difficult requests to be sure all needs are met. And then enter it into the pre-schedule tab. Again, recheck total minutes in the time window so that you don't overbook the window. This is a very common error. Save frequently, and remember you can always adjust individual performances times later if you see something that is not quite right. Working with the numerous time requests and complicated scheduling scenarios take time and patience, whether scheduling in Excel with paper or pencil or in Vivace. So be sure to take a break. You have made it through the hardest part of scheduling. You can pause the video now and return for part 2. Welcome back to Scheduling in Vivace. This video will cover the rest of the scheduling in NFMC Online Festivals Management System with allocations, compiling, and creating reports to make your festival run smoothly. Once the pre-schedules are finished, it is time to move on to the Allocation tab. You may have chosen to pre-schedule all your performances, and that's just fine. Then you can skip the Allocation tab. If not, then you will have remaining performances which need to be allocated to time windows. So what exactly is an allocation? It is a performance which does not have scheduling requirements, but still needs to fit in the schedule. It will appear as piano P3 or violin E3 without the student or teacher name or repertoire. The remaining performances are allocated to any empty spots in the time windows after all gaps have been compressed. You will have a choice where you would like to place these remaining performances. Here's the right side of the Allocation tab. You will need to determine where you have openings. Calculate the total time in the window. The first window shows that there are 29 minutes in this window. Next, calculate the performance time already used in the window. On the far right, you see the calculation The first group has 2 minutes, the second group has 15 minutes, and the third group has 12, for a total of 29 minutes. So now you can see that this particular window is full. Take note of any remaining time in the time window. If you go down to the bottom, you see that there are 4 remaining minutes in the 10:05 window. You might need that spot for schedule conflicts or for last minute changes, so take note of that opening. Scheduling tip: I actually schedule 10 minutes for each of my performances except for the concerti, which need 12 minutes. And those are all limited to just one room. Finding totals then becomes easier on this particular page. I know this is a luxury and not possible for many areas. But if your site can accommodate the 10-minute performances, you might consider it. My judges were thrilled not to be rushed, and the overall day tends to run very smoothly. Once you know the windows which have available time, you will again move performances from the left to the right, just like the pre-schedule page, clicking the box next to the performance and then the list icon on the right side to add it to a specific window. On the allocation page, any performance already scheduled in the pre-schedule tab will appear highlighted in tan. You cannot move these tan pre-scheduled performances while you're in the allocation tab. You can move them, but you would need to go back to the pre-schedule page to make adjustments to the pre-schedule. Like the pre-schedule page, active performances will be highlighted in turquoise until saved. So what does remaining 48 of 52 mean? Simply means there are 52 primary 3 piano solos in this particular festival. The ones on the left, 48, still need to be scheduled because that's the unscheduled side of the page. Looking on the right side, you can see those 4 piano solo primary threes have already been scheduled in the 9:30 window. And so you know exactly where all your P3s are. 4 are scheduled, 48 remain. Don't be concerned if you need a spot for 2 performances, say 7-minute performances, but the left side says there's 48. Well, the program will only fit the 2 performances into your selected window and leave the remaining 46 unscheduled on the left side. It will not overbook the window. Continue until all performances are scheduled. Continue adding the allocations in the time window, which have minutes available, until all performances are scheduled. Recheck your total minutes and be sure to save. Some issues which might arise are issues which might arise is that when recompiling a schedule, the original allocated times may shift to earlier times. And to ensure that those specific times do not shift, consider assigning times to the confirmed performances in the pre-schedule tab. So you've done most of the work. The setup durations, you've set up the durations for events and honored those times as you scheduled. You've set up your rooms, including breaks for the judges. You've checked for overbooking in both the pre-schedule and allocation tabs. And all performances are scheduled except for the theory registrations, and you know that they are waiting for you in the theory register. It is now time to move this to the schedule tab and compile the schedule. The first time you view your schedule page, it will be blank until you finish your first compile. You need to select one of two scheduling options. Alternating group classes will randomly mix the allocated performances around your assigned times. So you may have a difficult 2 next to your P4. Grouping event classes together will group all the primary classes together and all the elementary classes while still keeping your pre-schedules in place with a few minutes. You may end up with the same pieces next to each other. Select your option, and then when you are ready to compile your schedule, click here. If you have chosen to pre-schedule all your performances with specific times, then your times will be honored providing you do not leave gaps. The schedule which appears is in standard or assigned time format. But wait a minute. What about the recital format? Don't worry. The same schedule is waiting for you in recital format in the Select a Report menu. Once you have compiled, you will either see success or an error message. If you see an error message, don't worry. Just read the message and follow the instructions to correct the problem. You might not even be able to compile because you received an error message. And that message usually is related to overbooking a time window. Read the message. If a window is overbooked, the room and the time window will be identified. Go back and recalculate the total time in that window and decide how to reduce the minutes by moving the performance to another room or extending the time window by a few minutes. Maybe you were able to compile and there's a message after the schedule is compiled, and it might mention something about unexpected results. Read the message to find the room and the time window which needs your attention. Check if a gap was allowed in that particular time window. This might occur if you set up your room with a start time of 8:30, but once you finished your scheduling, the window's first performance actually was 8:50. Now you have a gap between 8:30 and 8:50, which did not compress, and that is the unexpected result. Go back to the setup and adjust the start time. Or you may have moved a student leaving a gap and the program did not compress the window when it recompiled. Again, just add the total minutes in the particular window identified and adjust your times accordingly. It will need to be addressed. You will need to address any issues before the schedule is ready. To correct an error, go to the Pre-Schedule tab first to locate the error and make your adjustments. Using the search field above the rooms table, locate the performance requiring a change. After rescheduling the performance, click Save. Click the Allocation tab to check for any unallocated events and check the Schedule tab and recompile the schedule again. Just because you save something in the pre-schedule or allocation pages does not mean that you're finished. You must go back to the schedule page and compile. The sequence for making either corrections or adjustments is always the same. Go back to the pre-schedule tab, make your adjustments, or go to the allocations and make the adjustments there, and then go to the schedule tab to recompile to save those adjustments. Please always return first to the pre-schedule tab. Once you like your schedule, take a breath and breathe. Come back and give it a another thorough look after making adjustments. You're almost ready to distribute it to your teachers. Be sure everything is in place. It will be tricky to make adjustments in the schedule after distribution, so really review it. Besides compiling the schedule, you will also find the reports, including your theory register and rating sheets. Once you are pleased with your schedule, then you're ready for the reports. The Schedule tab contains all the reports you need for your festival day. Click on Select a Report to view reports and rating sheets. Here is where you see 5 reports, which can be downloaded with schedule time or the same report in recital format. So if you're using recital format, you need to select the ones that say recital format. Here's a sample of individual schedule times. This is the monitor or judge's schedule, which has a rating column on the right. The teachers' names are not visible, only their randomly assigned teacher number. Here is another monitor judge's schedule, but it's in recital format. You can see a recital 9 to 9:30, followed by a recital starting at 9:30 and a third one starting at 10. Schedules sent to teachers are also available in recital format. There are 2 ways to download the rating sheets on the Schedule tab. The rating sheets can be in schedule order or can be alphabetical by the last name. There is a third way to access the rating sheets. For areas where teachers are asked to print a rating sheet for each of their students to bring to festival, you will need to first make sure that your festival settings page has been set to yes for rating sheets available for printing. Then you will need to teach your teachers how to access the rating sheet. Here are the instructions for printing individual rating sheets found in the Guide for Teachers. Teachers will go to each student and download the print. If you, the area admin, forgot to mark yes for accessing rating sheets in your festival setup, your teachers will not be able to access the rating sheets. The PDF icon will not appear. Teachers who do not use the program often may need assistance for downloading the PDF. Here are some of my favorite schedules I use for my festival. Explore and find the schedules which suit your area's needs. To access the reports, select Download, Open, and Print. If this is your first time printing reports, or if you just purchased a new computer, you will need to be sure to allow pop-ups for the festival's address. Download your selected report and remember where it's located and open the report and print. After scheduling, your teachers will need their schedule and their invoice. Click on the Teachers tab. First, select either Standard or Recital Reporting. Now, the default is Standard Reporting, and if you use recitals, you're going to have some confused teachers. So, if you use Recital Reporting, be sure to click on this button first. Here are some of the reports. You can send your teacher the schedule that includes all of their registrations. So here's where you will see all of your theory registrations besides your scheduled performances. This schedule is only what was scheduled in the scheduling module. It will not include theory. So if you use Theory in your festival, be sure to use the registration schedule. Invoice. For the teacher's invoice, you can click here. You can email directly to each teacher or choose to download a PDF and send it to the teacher by clicking the PDF icon. Please note, some emails sent by Vivace directly to the teachers have been blocked by the server, like Yahoo or MSN email. Ask your teachers for confirmation they have received their invoices and/or schedules. You may need to send a PDF directly to those particular teachers. I actually have 2 in my assigned area. Okay, so what about those last-minute cancellations after you have sent all the teachers their schedules? Do I still move cancellations to the cancellation room? No. Well, wait, maybe? You'd need to proceed with caution. After you have distributed the schedule to teachers and printed all the schedules, use caution. Your schedule will change. If you just move a student to the cancellation room, then recompile to save the changes, because the gap left from the move will be compressed and that particular window will shift the assigned times. If you have quite a few allocations, unassigned pre-scheduled times, the specific times may also shift within their window each time you recompile, and teachers will not be happy with the unexpected time changes. So, what do you do? After you have printed all your schedules and have encountered last-minute cancellations, first, consider just using the pencil and writing it in. Easy. Done. If you pre-scheduled everyone with a specific time and you really want to change the schedule, you could adjust the time window to create a break where you made the gap. This would keep the assigned times in place, and you could place the student in the cancellation room. For example, a 10-minute performance at 1:10 has canceled. First, note the times of all the performances starting at 2 o'clock in that window. Remove those performances from the room. Go to Setup and end the window at 1:50 and create a new window starting at 2. Replace the performances you have just moved back into the brand new 2 o'clock window with the original assigned times. You will need to recompile to update the changes. Recheck that all performances to be sure nothing has changed. Or just use pencil for those last minute changes. In review, here are some of the common errors made by new users. The duration times were not followed, so rooms were overbooked. Rooms were not set up with judges' breaks in mind. Poor judges. Scheduler expected pre-scheduled times to stay in place. They forgot that Vivace compresses the schedule to eliminate gaps. The schedulers distributed the schedule too soon without a thorough review. Make all changes prior to printing and distribution, then use pencil and paper for changes after distribution. You could have the download blues. First-time users or users with brand new computers have not set up the pop-up feature for the NFMC Festivals link. In conclusion, scheduling takes time, so please proceed slowly and take breaks. It requires proofing of complicated scheduling requests. It will compress small gaps. It involves teacher training. Tell your teacher your expectations, such as how to enter siblings and time requests. Scheduling has support Refer to your area admin guide in the Support Center for further guidance, and feel free to ask your state admin for assistance. Thank you for your time and patience as you learn the skill of scheduling in Vivace. Scheduling will become easier as you work with the program. Know that you do have support for your scheduling questions, and especially thank you for your dedication to make the NFMC festivals a positive experience for our students.